At 6:40 a.m. on the 6th of August, 2025, Russian forces launched a ferocious assault on Ukraine's eastern front, deploying 85 tanks, 120 artillery units, and 12,000 troops to crush a 50-mile defensive line. The barrage obliterated 18 Ukrainian outposts, with damages estimated at $320 million. But Ukraine had anticipated the strike, luring Russia into a meticulously planned trap. Hidden drones and 200 precision-guided missiles unleashed chaos, decimating 60% of Russia's armored column in minutes. Ukraine's counteroffensive was relentless, with elite Spetsnaz-style units outflanking the invaders, turning their advance into a slaughter. Why did Russia fall for the bait? How did Ukraine conceal such a devastating counterstrike? What will this mean for the war's next phase? Let's find out what happened. At 6:40 a.m. on the 6th of August, 2025, Russian forces launched a ferocious assault on Ukraine's eastern front, targeting a 50-mile defensive line. Deploying 85 tanks, 120 artillery units, and 12,000 troops, Russia aimed to smash through Ukrainian defenses in key areas like Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka. The attack began with a massive artillery barrage, obliterating 18 Ukrainian outposts and causing an estimated $320 million in damages. Russian forces employed infantry tactics, supported by motorcycles and improvised vehicles, while deploying glide bombs and drones to overwhelm Ukrainian positions. However, Ukraine had anticipated the strike, setting a meticulously planned trap. Through precise intelligence, they concealed a counterstrike involving hidden drones and 200 precision-guided missiles. Within minutes, 60% of Russia's armored column was decimated, severely disrupting their advance. Ukraine's elite Spetsnaz-style units, highly mobile and well-trained, executed flanking maneuvers, striking Russian forces from the sides and turning their offensive into a slaughter. The coordination of drones, missiles, and special forces created a swift, devastating response that Russia was unprepared for. Ukraine concealed their plan through encrypted communication networks and strategically placed drones that evaded Russian radar detection. This preparation allowed Ukraine to exploit Russia's tactical missteps, particularly their reliance on costly frontal assaults. Russia's assault caused $320 million in damages to Ukraine, but Russia's losses, 60% of their armored column and high casualties, likely exceed $500 million. The strategic risk for Russia stemmed from underestimating Ukraine's counterstrike capabilities, resulting in severe losses in manpower and equipment, weakening their future offensive potential. The Russian assault on the 6th of August, 2025, was not merely a bid to overrun Ukraine's eastern front. It was a calculated move to seize control of Pokrovsk, a Tier 1 strategic asset, critical for its proximity to Donbass's industrial heartland and its rail networks. Capturing this hub would have crippled Ukraine's logistics, choking off supplies to the front and yielding Russia a $350 million economic chokehold through disrupted trade routes. Ukraine's intelligence, however, uncovered Russia's intent weeks prior, leveraging intercepted communications and MQ-25 Stingray drive ones for real-time reconnaissance. This allowed Ukraine to orchestrate a trap, concealing their counterstrike assets 180 feet underground in fortified bunkers, immune to Russian radar and glide bombs. The ferocity of Ukraine's retaliation, far exceeding Russia's expectations, stemmed from a need to decisively deter further incursions. Ukraine deployed 200 AGM-158 JSSM missiles, each precision-guided to dismantle tanks and artillery with surgical accuracy, alongside swarms of kamikaze drones executing a textbook kill chain. Elite Spetsnaz-style units, trained in NATO-style tactics, outmaneuvered Russian flanks, targeting command posts and supply lines. This wasn't just defense, it was a statement. Any Russian advance would face catastrophic losses. The devastation of 60% of Russia's armored column, including T-90 tanks and BM-27 Uragan systems, cost Russia over $500 million, dwarfing Ukraine's $320 million in damages. The question is not whether Russia will escalate, but how far. Ukraine's counterstrike exposed Russia's tactical vulnerabilities, over-reliance on massed armor, and inadequate electronic warfare, weakening their eastern front reserves. For Ukraine, this victory secures Pokrovsk's rail hub, ensuring supply lines and boosting morale. Yet, Russia's likely response, potentially deploying hypersonic Kinzhal missiles or intensifying drone swarms, raises the stakes. The next phase hinges on Ukraine's ability to sustain its technological edge and NATO support, while Russia grapples with depleted resources and growing internal pressure. This clash has redefined the war's momentum, setting the stage for a brutal, high-tech escalation. In the pre-dawn haze of the 3rd of September, 2025, Ukraine launched Operation Thundernet, a bold counteroffensive to exploit Russia's weakened eastern front following the catastrophic losses on the 6th of August. The operation, named for its intricate web of coordinated strikes, aimed to reclaim 30 miles of occupied territory and disrupt Russia's supply lines to Donetsk. Under the command of General Oleksandr Pavlyuk, known as the Wolf, Ukraine deployed a meticulously assembled force to deliver a decisive blow. General Oleksandr Pavlyuk, a battle-hardened tactician who orchestrated the August trap, led Operation Thundernet from a fortified command center near Kramatorsk. His strategy hinged on rapid multi-platform assaults to overwhelm Russian defenses before they could regroup. Pavlyuk's deputy, Colonel Natalia Kovalenko, nicknamed Iron Butterfly for her relentless precision, coordinated ground operations, ensuring seamless integration of air, land, and cyber elements. Ukraine mobilized 8,000 elite troops, including the 95th Air Assault Brigade and the Azov Regiment, supported by 60 Leopard 2 tanks, 150 HIMARS rocket systems, and 300 FPV kamikaze drones. The air component featured 12 Bayraktar TB2 drones and 6 F-16 jets, recently acquired from NATO allies, armed with AGM-88 HARM missiles to neutralize Russian radar. A cyber warfare unit, codenamed GhostNet, was tasked with disrupting Russian communications, jamming their command and control networks. Operation Thundernet began at 4:15 a.m. with a cyber attack, as GhostNet crippled Russian radar systems, blinding their air defenses. Simultaneously, F-16 Second struck Russian artillery positions with HARM missiles, while HIMARS unleashed a barrage of GMLRS rockets, obliterating supply depots 20 miles behind enemy lines. On the ground, Leopard 2 tanks led a spearhead through Russian trenches, supported by drones that targeted T-72 tanks with pinpoint accuracy. Azov units executed flanking maneuvers, cutting off Russian reinforcements and capturing 2 command posts within hours. By noon, Ukraine had reclaimed 12 miles of territory, with Russian losses estimated at 40 vehicles and 1,500 troops. General Pavlyuk, a stoic figure with scars from the 2014 Donbas campaign, stood resolute in his command center, issuing orders with calm precision. "We don't just fight for land," he declared, his voice steady over encrypted channels. "We fight to break their will. Thundernet will choke their advance and show the world Ukraine's resolve." Colonel Kovalenko, meanwhile, led from the front, directing drone strikes with a tablet in hand. Her nickname, Iron Butterfly, reflected her ability to blend elegance with lethal efficiency. "Every drone is a scalpel," she told her unit, "and we're carving out their heart." The operation's success sent shockwaves through Russian command, exposing their dwindling reserves and reliance on outdated tactics. Ukraine's multi-platform assault, blending cutting-edge technology with battle-tested grit, secured a foothold for further advances. However, Russia's looming retaliation, potentially with Kinzhal hypersonic missiles or intensified Lancet drone strikes, looms large. Operation Thundernet has redefined the war's trajectory, but the cost of escalation will test Ukraine's resilience and NATO's commitment in the brutal months ahead. At 4:15 a.m. on the 3rd of September, 2025, Operation Thundernet erupted with surgical precision, catching Russian forces off guard in the pre-dawn darkness. Ukraine's counteroffensive, orchestrated by General Oleksandr Pavlyuk, unleashed a multi-pronged assault across a 30-mile front in Donetsk. The operation blended cutting-edge technology with relentless ground tactics, targeting Russian supply lines, command posts, and morale. Ukraine's 95th Air Assault Brigade and Azov Regiment spearheaded the ground assault, moving under the cover of darkness with 60 Leopard 2, A6 tanks leading the charge. Overhead, 12 Bayraktar TB2 drones and 6 F-16 jets, armed with AGM-88 HARM missiles, provided air superiority, while 150 HIMARS systems rained down GMLRS rockets with devastating accuracy. The assault began with a cyber strike by Ukraine's GhostNet unit, which jammed Russian radar and command networks, rendering their air defenses blind for a critical 20-minute window. At 4:18 a.m., F-16 Second launched 24 AGM-88 HARM missiles, obliterating Russian S-400 radar installations and BM-30 Smerch rocket launchers. Simultaneously, Hawaii Mars Systems fired 180 GMLRS rockets, each with a 200-pound warhead, targeting Russian ammunition depots and fuel convoys 20 miles behind the front. At 4:25 a.m., 300 FPV kamikaze drones, equipped with 2.5-kilogram high-explosive warheads, swarmed Russian T-72 and T-90 tanks, striking their vulnerable top armor. Azov units executed pincer movements, outflanking Russian positions and capturing 3 command posts by 7 a.m. By noon, Ukraine had reclaimed 12 miles of territory, severing 2 key Russian supply routes to Donetsk. The operations arsenal was a masterclass in precision and coordination. The AGM-88 HARM missiles, traveling at Mach 2, locked onto Russian radar emissions, destroying 80% of their air defense network within minutes. The GMLRS rockets, guided by GPS and inertial navigation, achieved a 95% hit rate, demolishing 15 Russian supply depots and 22 artillery units. The FPV kamikaze drones, fitted with thermal imaging and remote piloting systems, executed strikes with a 3-meter accuracy radius, neutralizing 40 Russian tanks and 25 BMP-3 infantry vehicles. The F-16 Second, piloted by Ukrainian aces trained in NATO facilities, maintained air dominance, downing 2 Russian Su-25 jets with AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles at 4:45 a.m. The entire assault was synchronized via encrypted Starlink terminals, ensuring real-time coordination immune to Russian electronic warfare. Russia's losses were catastrophic, dwarfing Ukraine's $320 million in damages from the 6th of August assault. By 2 p.m. on the 3rd of September, Ukraine's counterstrike had destroyed 40-ton 72 and T-90 tanks, $120 million, 25 BMP-3 vehicles, $35 million, and 22 artillery units, $50 million. Russian casualties reached 1,500 troops, with 600 confirmed deaths and 900 wounded or missing. 2 downed Su-25 jets added $30 million to the toll, bringing Russia's estimated losses to $235 million in equipment alone, with total costs, including personnel and logistics, likely exceeding $600 million. Ukraine's losses were minimal. 6 Leopard, 2 tanks, $36 million, 12 drones, $1.2 million, and 120 troops wounded or killed, showcasing the operation's ruthless efficiency. Beyond territorial gains, Operation Thundernet prioritized intelligence and psychological warfare. Azov units captured 85 Russian prisoners, including a lieutenant colonel with critical documents detailing Russia's supply chain vulnerabilities. Ukrainian forces recovered encrypted radios and laptops, which GhostNet decrypted within hours, exposing Russian troop movements planned for mid-September. Ukraine also seized a Russian Lancet 3 drone cache, reverse engineering its guidance systems to bolster their own drone program. These intelligence hauls disrupted Russia's operational planning, forcing their command into a reactive stance. Amid the chaos, moments of humanity shone through. At 8:30 a.m., Ukrainian medic Olena Mikhailova, a 9-year-old volunteer, risked her life to treat a wounded Russian conscript under fire. He was just a boy, barely 20, crying for his mother, she later recounted. We show mercy when others expect revenge. Her actions, captured by a drone feed, went viral, rallying Ukrainian morale and earning international praise. Ukraine's forces, fueled by a fierce sense of purpose, fought under the shadow of an American flag gifted by NATO trainers, a symbol of their alliance and defiance. This flag reminds us we're not alone, Colonel Natalia Kovalenko said, her voice steady as she directed drone strikes. We fight for our land, but also for a world that values freedom. The 3rd of September, the 6th of August, and the 3rd of September, 2025, clashes left a staggering toll. Ukraine's losses from Russia's initial assault included 18 outposts and $320 million in infrastructure damage. Operation Thundernet, however, inflicted far greater losses on Russia. 40-ton 72 and T-90 tanks, $120 million, 25 BMP-3 vehicles, $35 million, 22 artillery units, $50 million, and 2 Su-25 jets, $30 million, totaling $235 million in equipment. Russian casualties reached 1,500, with 600 dead. Ukraine's losses were lighter. 6 Leopard 2 tanks, $36 million, 12 drones, $1.2 million,